legends. The players that are remembered long after their playing days end, and indeed long after they too pass. The players that live on in mythology and reverence, that have influenced the game we see today. They are players who have set records, won championships, and captured our attention, etching their legacies into the foundations of this game. A legend is special, not simply because their talent set them apart, but because their stories transcend the individual. In fact, to me, that is what a legend is. A remarkable player who tells a story that enthralls us. So today, I'd like to continue talking about the legend of Kobe Bryant. After what goes down as one of the most impressive and one of the most disappointing seasons a basketball player has ever had, Kobe Bryant changed his number before the 2006-2007 NBA season from number 8 to number 24. Did it work? Not exactly. At least not at first. He was still committed to taking the most shots and scoring the most points. For the 2007 season, Kobe led the league in scoring, won the All-Star Game MVP, and was a first-team selection to both the All-League team and the All-Defensive team. He had 10 50-point games that season, 4 of which came in a row, which is something that not even Jordan ever did. The Lakers, meanwhile, ended the year with another mediocre record at 42-40. Once again, the Lakers faced the Suns, and once again, the Lakers lost. Kobe's reputation was taking hits left and right. He had now either missed the playoffs or lost in the first round every year since his breakup with Shaq. He was a marvel of a talent, truly the closest thing to Michael Jordan that there has ever been or likely will ever be. He was the most entertaining one-man show in sports, whose only misfortune was falling in love with a team sport. It cannot be said that he did not work hard. It cannot be said that he did not want to win. But at the end of the day, he did not respect his teammates enough to trust them with the ball. Whether it was their talent, their work ethic, or both, they did not measure up to the impossibly high standard of Kobe Bryant. Jordan faced the same problem in his career, eventually finding his solution by forging his teammates in the grueling furnace of his own wrath. When all was said and done, 2 of those Bulls championships hinged on plays in which Michael Jordan gave the ball up in crucial situations in the finals. The idea that Kobe Bryant in 2007 would ever pass the ball to a teammate in the final moments of a game, especially with something like a championship on the line, is laughable. Were his teammates crap? Yeah. Kwame Brown, Smush Parker? Of course the Lakers weren't going to win a championship with that. But even still, Kobe's contemporaries like LeBron James and Tim Duncan were making names for their ability to foster cohesion and make teammates better. Instead, Kobe Bryant was all alone in the solitary trapping of his own creation. Which brings us all to the 2007-2008 NBA season, the second half of Kobe Bryant's career and the true birth of the Black Mamba. Now before we go any further, I'd like to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's video, Factor. Factor is a meal delivery subscription service that ships pre-prepped meals right to your door. Your meal is delivered fresh, never frozen, which can be heated in the oven or microwaved in minutes. Factor meals are created by scratch with nutritious ingredients, with registered dietitians, working hand in hand with the kitchen to make sure that you're not eating some TV dinner. You're getting a home-cooked meal every time. And Factor now offers 34 meals per week and over 36 add-on options like smoothies, juices, snacks, and more to keep me going no matter what I have going on. And if you need a special occasion meal, Gourmet Plus is the perfect solution if you're looking for fast, upscale options done easy. Factor meals take just 2 minutes to prepare. You end up with a nutritious, tasty meal that took 2 minutes to make and that you didn't have to cook anything for. To get started, head to factor75.com/Clayton50 and use code Clayton50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. That's factor75.com/Clayton50 and use code Clayton50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. The 08 Lakers entered the season with high hopes, if for no other reason than the reacquisition of Derek Fisher, the point guard who'd helmed all 3 championships of the Lakers three-peat. More than anything he did on the court, Fisher made the greatest impact by getting Kobe to buy into a team concept. He was someone Kobe could trust. Not much, maybe not even enough, but a little. Halfway through the year, the Lakers sat at 30-16, contending for top seeding in one of the most competitive Western Conferences in history. The Lakers' fortunes were improving, and on February 1st, the team pulled off a blockbuster trade, sending a lump of nobodies and 2 future first-round picks to the Memphis Grizzlies, in exchange for the best player the Grizzlies had employed in their franchise's young history to that point. Power forward, Pau Gasol. I'm not kidding when I say that Pau was the best player in Grizzlies history at that point. When he left, he was the franchise leader in minutes played, games played, field goals, free throws, offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds, blocks, and points. The Spaniard was a legit 7-footer with athleticism, adept post scoring, mid-range scoring, lethal jumpers, hook shots, fakes, up and unders, and an edge that earned him Kobe's respect. With that, the Lakers were off to the races. Having earned Kobe's respect and trust, the chemistry between the two began to flourish as they game planned on the floor in Spanish to keep opponents unaware. In the 29 games that Pau Gasol started for the Lakers that season, they lost just 5 games. By season's end, the Lakers had secured the top spot in one of the tightest conference races ever. Kobe had been humbled. He'd had the opportunity to take every shot, control every possession, and impose his singular will on the game with no restrictions. And it wasn't enough. He couldn't win on his own. And when that lesson set in, when the Lakers brought back Derek Fisher and traded for Pau Gasol, when players like Lamar Odom developed into contributors, Kobe finally trusted. He never gave away the keys, he never changed his nature, but he finally started putting the puzzle pieces together. At season's end, he was a first-team All-NBA selection, a first-team All-Defensive selection, and for the first time in his illustrious career, Kobe Bryant was the NBA regular season's most valuable player. In the playoffs, he led the Lakers through that loaded conference for a berth in the NBA Finals, emphatically reasserting himself as a franchise player and a leader. The opponent of the Lakers in those 2008 finals was none other than the Boston Celtics. And if you're watching this video and you've made it this far, I'm certain I don't need to go into too much detail about that rivalry. In essence, the NBA is built on the Celtics-Lakers rivalry. As of the creation of this video, the Lakers and Celtics have won 17 championships apiece. That's 34 of the 75 championships ever won in the NBA, 45%. They have met in the championship series 12 times, with each featuring a litany of the greatest players the game has ever seen. And this was no different. Across the court from Kobe and Pau stood the Celtics' new big three: Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen. Every finals has something at stake. They all affect legacies and create icons and legends. But the stage doesn't get much bigger. The lights don't get much brighter than Lakers Celtics. And for the first time since 1987, the two met. After 21 years, the rivalry had been revived. Despite the improvement the Lakers had made, the Celtics proved too much to handle. Paul Pierce had an excellent series, winning the Finals MVP, and was said by many to have outplayed Bryant. The death nail of the series came in Game 4, when the Lakers blew a 24-point third-quarter lead, watching as the Celtics set a record for the largest Finals comeback since 1971. In the final game of the series, the Celtics set another record for the most lopsided victory in a championship-clinching game ever. The tide had turned yet again for Kobe Bryant. There was no storybook ending, No capping off of his newfound stature as a lead his team to a championship guy. Instead, people started wondering if they jumped the gun on giving him that kind of distinction. Questions still surrounded Kobe. He had gotten the Lakers back to the finals, but could he really be a guy who could lead them to a championship? Was this a real shift in attitude, or was this just a one-time thing? Does he really get it? Enter the Black Mamba. Following the 2008 finals loss, Kobe went to a place he had never gone to before. He'd always been known for his work ethic, but he doubled down on it, pushing his body and abilities like never before. During the off-season, he represented the US during the Olympic Games and quickly became the unquestioned alpha dog on the famously loaded Redeem team that featured players like LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Paul, and Carmelo Anthony. Matched up against Spain and his running mate Pau in the Olympic final, Bryant set the tone, running right through his Laker co-star. The message was simple and obvious. I don't care that we're boys. I don't care that we're teammates. Right now we're opponents, and I will fucking destroy you. After bringing the gold medal back to America, Kobe began scouring nearly every available source he could find for information and lessons on leadership and success. He asked successful people in all manner of fields about their processes, even reaching out to composer John Williams about his work. His pursuit of knowledge was so great that the great Bill Russell cited Kobe as his favorite active player, because Kobe had devoured Russell's autobiography, Second Wind, and had gone so far as to call Russell and pick his brain on all matter of things. Whatever it was, those years spent losing, watching Shaq win a title without him, the public scorn, being coached by Phil Jackson, or some combination of all of it, something had gotten through to him. The lesson had been learned. He started putting it together in 2008, enough that the Lakers were good enough to make a run at the finals. In 2009, he and the Lakers were eager to prove that they could win it all. How did that 2009 season shape up for the Lakers? 65 wins in the regular season, the third most in franchise history. It was Kobe like we'd never seen him before, with stories abounding of him inviting teammates out to dinner and connecting with everyone on the roster, from Pau, Fisher, and Lamar Odom, all the way to guys like Luke Walton and Sasha Vujacic, all while maintaining his otherworldly reputation as a scorer, competitor, and all-around threat. He had his highest shooting percentage since 2002, broke Bernard King's 25-year-old MSG scoring record, was a first-team everything, and was the co-MVP of the All-Star Game, along with who else but Shaquille O'Neal. Kobe was denied a second consecutive MVP only because of the emergence of LeBron James and his 66-win Cleveland Cavaliers. He'd scored more points in years prior. He'd won the MVP the year before. But the venom in the fangs of the Black Mamba was never deadlier than in 2009. All season long, NBA fans had anticipated a collision between Kobe's Lakers and LeBron's Cavs in the finals for a number of reasons. They were the teams with the two best records in the league, led by the top two MVP vote getters, with Kobe representing the past and present, while LeBron, at just 24 years old, was the future. It would have been a watershed showdown, and its implications would have echoed throughout the league for decades. The Lakers held up their end, advancing to their second consecutive finals. But in one of the shocking upsets of the decade, the Orlando Magic bounced the Cavs in 6 games, setting up a Lakers Magic finals. Now, like I said earlier, every finals carries weight. There is no championship that doesn't count, no ring that isn't earned. But to say that the matchup wasn't a letdown would be a lie. Nonetheless, the heavily favored Lakers took their opponents seriously. In the first game of the series, Kobe exploded for 40 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. Not so much channeling the old Kobe, but showcasing this newer, smarter, more evolved incarnation. He trusted his teammates, gave them their chances, and took over when the moment demanded it. The Los Angeles Lakers won the 2009 NBA championship in 5 games. And after 32 points, 5.5 rebounds, and a series-high 7 assists, Kobe Bryant was named the finals most valuable player for the first time in his career. The top of the mountain, back at last. He'd been a part of the most dominant duo in basketball history, yes. But now he had proven that he was on the short list of guys who could be the league's very best player and lead his team to an NBA championship. And, now he had as many rings as Shaq. Not for nothing. But even still, there were whispers, doubters, people who poo-pooed the championship, saying that the Lakers wouldn't have stood a chance against a team like the Celtics or the Cavs, and that they lucked out by matching up with the Magic. Reinvigorated by his last remnants of doubters and by the team's acquisition of former Defensive Player of the Year Ron Artest, Kobe assumed his fully evolved form. At 31 years old, in his 13th professional season, he had finally reached the stage of his career where he had the wisdom to match his talent. He wasn't the most athletic player in the league anymore, but no one did a better job at utilizing that athleticism. He had a veteran's know-how and a champion's confidence. A deadly combination in a man like Kobe Bryant. Over the course of the 2009-2010 season, Kobe became the Lakers' all-time leading scorer, passing Jerry West on February 1st, 2010. He came up clutch throughout the season, time and time again, delivering iconic play after iconic play. Which is not to mention the fact that he fractured the index finger on his right hand, elected not to take any time off, and hit one of those game winners just 5 days later. It's just another story of Kobe's maniacal will to win and another anecdote of his inhuman pain tolerance, which is something that I haven't really been able to touch on yet. And actually, there are a few things I haven't mentioned or won't be able to mention that I want to touch on. All of his other injuries that he played through, his atrocious rap career, the fact that he would play every guard on his team, 1-on-1 to 100 throughout his career, how he would break out the underbite when he was really cooking, Paul Pierce's poop game, the vetoed CP3 trade, Kobe's weird crown tattoo, the fact that the video of him jumping over the Aston Martin is fake, that time he got served a two-piece combo by Chris Childs, how his marriage to Vanessa caused a rift with his parents, resulting in this heartbreaking picture because he couldn't celebrate his 2001 championship with them, and how he learned some Slovenian so that he could shit-talk Luka courtside. The Lakers wrapped up the 2010 regular season with the best record in the Western Conference yet again. Kobe was first-team everything again, and finished third in league MVP voting. Pau continued to flourish as a double-double machine next to Kobe, and the rest of the team fit perfectly around them. A well-calibrated, two-way machine, chock full of heady veterans who had all passed the Kobe Bryant toughness test. LA marched through the Western Conference, defeating the Oklahoma City Thunder, Utah Jazz, and Phoenix Suns on their way to their third consecutive finals. And who should the Lakers find standing opposite them at this final stage of their journey? The last obstacle in their quest to become back-to-back champions. The Boston Celtics, of course. Do I even need to set this series up? You've got the last two league champions squaring off in the finals. Those two teams happen to be the Lakers and Celtics, and the series will feature at least 5 surefire Hall of Famers, almost all of whom are in their primes. And don't forget that this is a rematch of the 2008 finals, adding a layer of dynamics to the series that becomes so insane that I can't even articulate it. Which for our purposes, all adds up to a chance for Kobe Bryant to cement himself once and for all the haters and doubters and fans alike, as one of the very best basketball players who has ever played the game. After 5 games, the Lakers trailed the Celtics 3-2. They had lost Game 5 by 6 points, despite a 38-point outing from Kobe. His Achilles heel had once again begun to reveal itself. His unwavering confidence meant that he never met a shot he didn't like, but it also meant that he lacked the scoring efficiency of a player like Jordan. And in the crucible of such a high-stakes series, Bryant might have been too amped up, and was forcing the issue against an incredible defensive team. Facing elimination and the prospect of a second finals loss to the Celtics in 3 years, the Lakers stuck out their chests, kindled their pride, and submitted a masterful defensive performance in Game 6. They beat the Celtics by 22 points and held Boston to just 67 total points, setting up a do-or-die, winner-take-all game in Los Angeles. Everything came down to the best two words in sports: Game 7. If you thought Kobe was going to take a backseat now, you have not been paying attention. Which didn't necessarily spell good things. Kobe's Game 7 goes down as another of his most perplexing. He couldn't help himself. He wanted it too bad. He only made 6 of his 24 field goal attempts, determined to be the hero. Still, he made up for his poor shooting by crashing the boards to the tune of 15 rebounds and forcing himself to the line, especially in the fourth quarter. With the game nearing its close, the Lakers were desperately holding on to a 6-point lead. But after a Rasheed Wallace tray cut the Laker lead to just 3 points, with 90 seconds remaining, the Lakers' season was on the line. Score, and you push the advantage to 2 possessions. Miss, and the Celtics have a multitude of options to tie the game and potentially force overtime. So what do you think? Knowing what you know about Kobe Bryant, someone who has struggled with trust his entire career, driven by maybe the most unshakable confidence an athlete has ever possessed, in a game where that confidence has been on full display to the detriment of his team, in the final minute of a Game 7, as he tries to ice the game and cement his legacy, what do you think happens?
Bryant looking. Artest, that's a 3. Bang!
He passed the ball. He passed the ball, and 60 seconds later, the Los Angeles Lakers were champions once more. What is there to even say? I know that's kind of what I'm here for, but doesn't this footage just tell you what you need to know? It meant everything. A second consecutive championship, another Finals MVP, getting the last laugh, writing a dramatic chapter in one of sports' greatest rivalries, validating the championship the previous year, and of course, for Kobe, his 5th championship meant that he had one more than Shaq. Even the most outspoken critic, even the most die-hard Celtic fan, was forced to admit Kobe Bean Bryant was one of the greatest players of all time. The following few seasons only served to reinforce this fact. The Lakers didn't three-peat, losing in the 2011 postseason to the eventual champion Mavericks, and in the 2012 postseason to the eventual Western Conference champion OKC Thunder. But in those years, Kobe earned another All-Star Game MVP, tying him for the most ever with 4. 2 more first-team All-League selections, 2 more All-Defensive Team selections, and continued adding to his resume as an exceptional scorer and crunch-time assassin. But it's clear in hindsight that this was the twilight of Bryant's career. Phil retired after the 2011 playoffs, ending his illustrious coaching career with 11 rings, the most by any coach in basketball history, and Kobe was limited in the 2012 season due to injuries to his wrist, nose, shin, and head. Still, the Black Mamba had entrenched himself in Los Angeles as the star of stars. The Mamba mentality had become folklore. He'd been a member of 5 championship teams and was still adding to his legacy. He occupied a very special place in Tinseltown. When celebrities wanted a night out, when they wanted to go to a show and see a master at work, they went to see Kobe Bryant. And in the 2012 Olympics, on the heels of LeBron's coronation as champion, Bryant gracefully ceded power to his young counterpart. After another gold medal, the Lakers made one last desperate attempt to build a contender around their 34-year-old superstar. 2 rivals of Bryant's were brought in: 2-time MVP Steve Nash, and Bryant's foe in the 2009 finals, Dwight Howard. And after a disappointing 1-4 start, the Lakers brought in basketball visionary Mike D'Antoni. All for naught. Bryant and Howard ignited an infamous feud due to differences in attitude and work ethic, echoing the Kobe-Shaq beef, while Nash struggled to stay healthy, let alone effective, as he pushed 39 years old, which put Kobe in the position to do it himself. Nothing new. Once again, Bryant became the most entertaining one-man show in sports. At the halfway point of the season, he was leading the league in scoring, but the Lakers were a paltry 17-25. Without playmakers like Derek Fisher or even Lamar Odom, and with the deterioration of Nash's abilities, D'Antoni then made Bryant the de facto facilitator of the Lakers, with more control over the offense and with even more time spent with the ball. Kobe thrived in that role, and the team's record responded. It was one of the more impressive feats of his career. He created opportunities for teammates, maintained his own individual excellence, and dragged LA into the playoff race. Coming down the stretch of the season, still fighting for a spot in the postseason, Kobe was pressing on the accelerator to the tune of nearly 40 minutes a night. On April 12, 2013, the Lakers hosted the Golden State Warriors. Kobe was running on fumes, having played monster minutes in the last 7 games, including 4 in which he essentially played all 48 minutes of the game. Heading into that Friday evening, Kobe had played 7 consecutive quarters of basketball without a substitution. There were multiple instances throughout the game that made it obvious that Kobe's body was under a massive strain. But it wasn't until the 4th quarter that his body finally quit. Trying to make a move around Harrison Barnes, Bryant was fouled and fell to the floor in a heap, grabbing at his ankle. After walking it out and catching his breath, Kobe stepped to the line and sank 2 free throws before being removed from the game. Subsequent tests revealed that he had torn his Achilles tendon, ending his season. Which, just for posterity, means that Kobe hit 2 free throws on a torn Achilles tendon. The Lakers went on to make the playoffs and were swept in the first round by the San Antonio Spurs without Bryant. That was it. That Achilles injury was the end of Kobe Bryant's career as an elite basketball player. The miles he'd put on his body over the past 17 seasons had finally taken their toll. Despite an intense rehab process, he played in just 6 games the following season because of a knee fracture. But Kobe being Kobe, he refused to accept that his career was ending. He rehabbed again and played in the first 27 games of the Lakers' 2015 season, averaging 26 points and 35 minutes a game. But he got to those numbers by being the most inefficient volume scorer in the league, taking the most shots in the NBA and shooting under 40%. He didn't come with an off button. There was only one way for Kobe to play: hard. And as he'd done countless times before, when he was cold or he wasn't in rhythm, he made it a point to double down and shoot himself out of the slump. Just look at this clip. He's shooting over 5 defenders here. And because he's the best tough shot maker in league history, he almost made it. In December, he passed Michael Jordan for 3rd place on the list of the NBA's all-time scoring leaders. In January, he tore the rotator cuff on his right shoulder. It was an injury that would sideline him for the remainder of the season, having played just 35 games. But when I tell you that he returned to that January game and played the rest of it left-handed, are you even surprised? The Lakers finished the 2015 season with a 21-61 record, the most losses in Laker history. His body had truly betrayed him, and despite the fact that there was no precedent for a player of his age coming back from so many serious injuries and playing at an even moderately productive level, Kobe didn't quit. On October 28, 2015, at 37 years old, he debuted his 20th season with the Lakers, setting the record for the most seasons spent with a single team in NBA history. 1 month later, on November 29th, he made the announcement that everyone knew was coming. He announced that the 2015-2016 season would be his last, with a poem published in the Players Tribune titled "Dear Basketball," saying in part, "This season is all I have left to give. My heart can take the pounding, my mind can handle the grind, but my body knows it's time to say goodbye." The announcement kicked off a retirement tour for the ages. Everywhere he went, the arena sold out. Every time he checked into a game, the crowd would roar. After every road game, he was given gifts, made to watch video montages, and asked to make short speeches. Everyone wanted one last glimpse of Kobe Bryant in a Laker jersey. Even Sacramento, even San Antonio, and yes, even Boston. Which was in total contrast to his play. I don't want to spend too much time talking about it, but Kobe's play in his last year was truly dreadful. He was taking the 6th most three-pointers in the league, but was the league's worst three-point shooter. He shot just 35% from the field, but was 15th in the league in shots per game. He was playing so poorly that even he admitted to playing poorly, essentially saying, "I know I'm playing like shit, I don't like that I'm playing like shit, and I really am working hard to not play like shit." Whatever. The Kobe retirement tour was cool. He deserved it. One of the greats was saying goodbye. He deserved a crowd. Kobe's basketball career ended on April 13th in a win over the Utah Jazz. It was just the Lakers' 17th win of the season, marking the worst season in franchise history. The Mamba was out. He never played professional basketball again. By the numbers, he retired as the NBA's 3rd all-time scorer, a 5-time champion, an 18-time All-Star, a 4-time All-Star Game MVP, a 15-time All-NBA selection, including 11 first-team selections, a member of 12 All-Defensive teams, the most ever by a guard, and was the leading scorer of the decade of the 2000s. But beyond just the figures and the stats, Kobe was the player of his generation. The worthy successor of Michael Jordan as the league's uber-competitive alpha dog, inspiring the next generation of NBA greats. Kobe and Tim Duncan both have arguments as the best players of that era, but Kobe's impact and cultural relevance dwarf that of the venerable Big Fundamental. What do you yell when you throw a wad of paper into the trash can? He epitomized the idea of working ceaselessly to fulfill one's own potential. The Mamba mentality. Jordan was a maniac, but his fire was pathological. He couldn't stand to lose at anything. That took him to casinos and golf courses, always in need of another win. Kobe's dedication during his career was purely toward being the best basketball player he could possibly be. He didn't care if he was popular. He even admitted that he wasn't a very good friend, not one to remember birthdays or send presents. But in his own words, friends can come and go, but banners hang forever. After his retirement from basketball, Kobe turned his attention toward filmmaking and content creation. In one of his first creative endeavors, he worked with former Disney animator Glenn Keane and composer John Williams to turn his poem Dear Basketball into a short animated film. The film was nominated for and won the Academy Award for Best Animated Short Film in 2017. Barely a year after retiring from basketball, Kobe Bryant had won an Oscar. He was just that kind of guy. From there, he set his sights on creating content with 4 people in mind: his 4 daughters. As a devoted girl dad, he'd become disillusioned by the kind of programming and content that was directed at young girls. He felt like his daughters didn't need story after story about a damsel in distress, a girl who exists purely as a love interest, or a woman who needs saving. Kobe wanted to change that. To that end, he also supported the sports his daughters were active in, advocated women's sports, the WNBA, and coached his 13-year-old daughter Gianna's basketball team. On January 26, 2020, Kobe and 8 others boarded a charter helicopter for a flight from Orange County to a basketball game in Newbury Park. With Kobe was his Gianna, John and Carrie Altobelli, their daughter Alyssa, Sarah Chester and her daughter Peyton, coach Christina Mauser, and pilot Ara Zobayan. At approximately 9:45 that morning, the helicopter was enveloped in a thick fog and crashed on a hillside in Calabasas, California. All 9 people on board were killed. The tragedy defied words. And although this video is about Kobe, I want to make a point to recognize that he was not the only one lost. Just because they weren't famous basketball players does not make any of their deaths less tragic. It feels like by talking solely about Kobe, we're ignoring the fact that other people lost their lives, that other families were destroyed, that 3 teenage girls didn't get the chance to grow up and write their legacies. So before going further, I want to acknowledge and remember them. But the world did lose Kobe Bryant too. Just like that, one of the most recognizable sports figures was gone. So much was written and said about it at the time, and his connection to fans was so personal that to try to describe the void he left feels almost like a waste of words. Tributes poured in from across the world. His death reminded everyone of the fragility of life, urging many people, public and otherwise, to mend old relationships and be better people. The NBA renamed its All-Star Game MVP award in his honor. Kobe was posthumously inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame in May of the following year, and on October 11, 2020, 9 months after the crash, the Los Angeles Lakers won the NBA championship for the first time in a decade. He is the second best player who has ever played his position, a cultural icon and a generational talent. The Lakers are basketball's signature franchise. And perhaps not to say he is the best, but for what he represented and for all the things he did, Kobe Bryant is the greatest Laker of all time. Kobe's death was surprising because he did not seem like someone who could die. He was an invincible warrior, an indomitable will. He was supposed to become a filmmaker, become an elder statesman with a gray beard, who would sit courtside at the All-Star Game in the finals and shake hands with the newest crop of NBA greats. Still, nobody can say that he died without living, loving, and experiencing life to its fullest. The gunslinger walked away with an empty clip, which is the closest thing we can find to consolation when remembering Kobe's life and his death. Once he decided to be himself, he was relentless and uncompromisingly him, exemplified best by his very last game in the NBA. In the days leading up to the game, expectations for Bryant were high. Despite the Lakers' struggles that season and despite his poor play, this was Kobe Bryant we're talking about. It was basically a foregone conclusion that he would leave everything out there. He'd have the greenest of green lights, and he was going to take advantage of it. But what would happen? Would it be an ignoble ass-whooping like Dan Marino's last game? Or could he deliver some magic one last time? Thinking of Kobe's last season and his approach to that last game, I constantly think about a quote from Grantland's Brian Phillips, who wrote about Kobe's last season that January, saying, "If preserving his sense of who and what he is means ending his career loudly and embarrassingly, he will be as loud and embarrassing as he can." The game itself was an event. Nearly every celebrity you can think of was in attendance. Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, Nicholson, Jay-Z, Kanye, Shaq, and so on. The pressure was on. The lights were bright. It wasn't a playoff game or a finals game, but whatever the result, it would be remembered. The tone of the evening was set early as Kobe took 13 shots in just the first quarter. He only connected on 5 though, registering 15 of the Lakers' 19 points, with ballistic cheers reverberating throughout the Staples Center on every make. He sat for half of the second quarter, scoring just 7 points on 2 of 7 shooting, as the Jazz started to pull away. At the half, Kobe had scored 22 points on 7 of 20 shooting. It's hard to capture the feeling of that night in hindsight. Every eye was fixed on Kobe at all times, whether he had the ball or not. Every heart started beating a little faster the second his hands touched the ball. Every breath was held when he summoned the last vestiges of energy that those legs had left and rose up to take a shot. It didn't matter that he wasn't shooting well. He'd never been known for his pinpoint accuracy. It mattered that Kobe Bryant was doing what we'd hoped, leaving every last ounce of energy, spirit, and prayer out on the hardwood in the building he helped make famous. The Jazz held a 15-point lead over the Lakers as the final half of the career of Kobe Bryant began. He played the entire quarter and captured our attention one last time. He took a ridiculous 14 shots in the third quarter and made half of them, registering 15 points as the Lakers cut the Jazz lead down to 9 entering the fourth quarter. When the fourth quarter began, Kobe Bryant had scored 37 points, already his second highest point total of the season. How much could he possibly have left? In the final quarter of the final game of a 20-year career, after all the injuries and setbacks, what could this guy have left in the tank? Just enough. Every shot he took in that fourth quarter looked like it was drawing energy from Bryant's very soul. Each one another note in the swan song of the greatest Laker ever. He shot and shot and shot, willing the ball into the basket time and time again. He passed 40 points. Then he passed 50, the third oldest player to do so ever, sucking air into his fatigued body, demanding that it cooperate just this one last time. All of a sudden, with less than 2 minutes to go, the Lakers were in a 2-possession ball game. Could the Mamba strike one last time? With 1 minute left, the Lakers trailed by a single point. And with 34 seconds left, Kobe Bryant took his 50th shot of the game, the last he would ever take in the NBA. And he made it. After the Jazz failed to score, they intentionally fouled Bryant, sending him to the free throw line with the chance to score his 59th and 60th points of the night. The Lakers won the game 101-96. Kobe's last shot proved to be the game winner. He became the oldest player in NBA history to score 60 points in a game, and set the mark for the most points scored in a single game by any player in the 2016 season. He took 50 shots to get there, the most in a single game by any player since 1967. That, to me, is the consolation. The game was as Kobe gets. An inordinate number of shots, an ungodly number of points, a crowd screaming his name, and of course, the game winner at the end. The last time we saw Kobe Bryant on a basketball court was the most fitting end to the career of the player of his generation imaginable. One final, masterful performance. How perfect is it that that is how he left the game? An icon, a winner, a legend.